All right, guys. So excited to have another episode of Monetize Your Message. We have with us today Leanna Jane Lewis, who is a mind and body wellness coach and an amazing yoga instructor, a woman of many talents and skills. And excited to have you here. Hopefully, Jessie will be joining us. She's checking on the tech side of things because we had a little hiccup earlier. So, but if not, it'll just be the two of us jamming around messaging. And I kind of wanted to talk about karma, which is something we totally don't talk about in our business. And I would love to get your take on that. But anyway, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today, Leanna.
Yeah, I'm just thrilled to be here. Like, this is great. I love this stuff. This is really, it's really nice. Really nice.
Awesome. Yeah, so I'd love to kick it off just talking a little bit about your business journey. So will you tell us a little bit about this wild journey of entrepreneurship that you're on?
Yes, so I will keep it short because I could talk for like days about like what this whole thing has been. And as I'm saying this, a storm is rolling in. Like there's intensity around my process. But ultimately, it started with the birth of my second child and realizing that teaching and working with young kids, I loved it, but there was such a deeper calling for me to move into another chapter. And I think that's, I just think it was a very non-negotiable for me. And so I just thought, okay, what I love doing is still teaching and holding that space for other people to find a new part of their life that they also want to open up and start their journey on. And for me, it was a no-brainer to just say, let's play. Let's play with what about moving my yoga practice online and expanding it out? Because I do live in a small town surrounded by not other small towns, but the towns that are around are just population-wise, you want big cities, and I don't live in a big city. And so I thought, well, online really was calling to me, and I thought, okay, well, let's see what this is all about. So put my feelers out there. I'm working with a business coach and a mindset coach and another mindset coach and another mindset coach. So honestly, it started with birthing my second child and also just birthing opportunity is how I look at it. But it has been a really intense journey. The other day I thought, I love what Lacey and Sarah are doing with this happy show. And I'm like, I'm going to start my own show called 6 and Under, like 6 months and under, what's really happening for you in your business? Because it's such a personal growth experience that I think there are so many people that would benefit to share, like, hey, are you making money? No, but I'm doing this and this, or I'm exploding and I don't know what to do with it. So that's the long and short of it for the journey, is that it's intense.
Totally. Yeah, you're so right about that. Hey, it looks like we have Jessie. I'm gonna add her in. But yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think if anyone had told me kind of what to expect, I don't know if I would have believed them, first of all. And you're right too, that no one's journey is the same, but they're all sort of intense in their own way. And thank you for sharing that, because I think that's really good for people to hear, because they're like, am I doing this wrong? Like, is something weird, in my business? I'm like, no, like the truth of the matter is, like, it's a crazy journey.
Yes. And it's great. Like, even the weather is just reflecting this, like a storm is rolling in, like there's intensity. It's good. It's rain. My garden needs it. But there is a fullness to the online entrepreneurial chapter opening up. For those that don't have any business background, I'm a trained school teacher. Kids just came to me. I didn't have to monetize my teaching message. Come and I will teach your children how to read and write and arithmetic. Like, I didn't have to do any of that. They just show up and love you.
Naturally, right? Yeah, Jessie has a teaching background as well.
Yeah. So this is like, I had to sell myself. This is really hard.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Yeah. So, oh my gosh, I saw that.
Hold on a sec.
Like the ghosts are here or something.
The intensity is working its way inside.
Right?
Okay. There we go. It's like the wind is just...
Yeah, no kidding. Must be really stormy up there. Yeah, so
anyway.
So how have you adapted to this whole monetizing your message process? Like, what has that been like for you?
At first there was, and I know I've said intensity, but that's what it was. It was like an intensity of not knowing, of not trusting, of not trusting my process, that I knew what I was doing. It was like very much, teach me your ways, and where are my teachers? And I don't know anything, and I'm just starting. And so there was a humbling of the self. But then, you know, as I've been going on, it's been about 6 months. And so as it's going on, there's been so many, it's kind of like grief. When a loved one dies, grief is like this thing. And it's like, first you feel this, denial, and it's like, no, actually, this is what it is.
Yeah, it's not the smooth, linear process, is it?
So I think for me, there was just not really trusting my own abilities at first, and feeling like I didn't know what I was doing, and then taking advice of other people. Well, first you need to do this and this. And then I look back and I kind of say, okay, I like this and that resonates with me. Your message about finding your pillars, yeah, that resonates with me, because you need to have a why, and you need to have how that why is held. What is holding that why together? What are the common values that are aligned with who you're? And so that's more of the middle part of like feeling like, okay, I'm grounding myself a bit. This is making more sense. And now I feel as though it's like I'm kind of kicking myself out of the nest in a way, like, okay, go, just trust you have the wings. You're not going to fall on the ground. And if you do, you'll just get back up. Now I'm seeing myself in a very different place, and more confident and more tuned into, I don't have to worry about, that monetize your message is not something I've ever really heard before. I just have to know that if I just continue to speak my truth and work with what I already know I do best, people will respond to that, because people want real people to work with them. And so in terms of my messaging is really just listening to what is already going on. What are people already talking about? What are people sharing? What are they not sharing? Can you say, hey, listen, this elephant in the room, we haven't talked about that yet. So let's do that for a bit. So that's
sure. No, that's gold. It's gold. I mean, that's beautiful about listening and about just honing in on your why and what feels good and right to you. And I think you're right. Like what you talked about, that experiencing that whole, like, I want to learn everything, give me everything. I want to find all the teachers and mentors. That's like such a common reaction. And I think a lot of people have that reflected in their own entrepreneurial journey. And I think that's really hopeful for people to hear if they feel like they're kind of in that like consumption phase right now, where like you will find your grounding and you will be able to at some point discern like what pieces of this are right for you. But it's okay to kind of like stumble around a little bit, and it's okay to have like a non-linear path. It's okay to like wander through the woods a little bit, because like, How do you know? Maybe this part of the woods is better anyway.
Well, and you don't know. And I think that's this, I think we have this as a society, this idea of, we're not okay or something, and that everything should be linear and perfect, and we try to have time as a linear thing. There's the beginning of the day, the middle of the day, and the end. But in actual reality, the universe, like as a whole, doesn't really work that way. The universe works on a natural pulse, and so if you can just accept that some days you're in, some days you're out, some days you're in, some days you're out. If you can find yourself okay with that flow, then you are like 1,000 times better off than if you're trying to hold on to this idea of that you have to do it a certain way, be a certain way, use the strategies a certain way. Like, what can you do with closed fists of holding?
Yeah.
I didn't even have my coffee.
That
is I love that. And I love too this idea of like I feel like at the beginning, so many people, because they're looking for so many mentors and so many coaches and so many people to kind of show them the path, that linear path, we sometimes forget to look at our own strengths and lean into what's natural for us and what feels good for us, because we're like, oh, I have to try all the other things that other people are telling me to do. And I think there's so much truth to that, of letting it be not linear sometimes so that you can find what you gravitate towards.
Well, you have to, right? Because people can tell when you're doing something not authentic for you. You know, if I was to try and teach people business strategy or something like, or strategy in general, strategy is not my jam. You know, because strategy entails an end and an outcome that you're searching. And I'm all about, let's let go of outcomes. Let's let go of that stuff. Can we just be alone for 5 minutes with ourselves? That's hard. Let me show you the way. You gotta be with yourself.
Oh, yeah. And that's also what I love about the whole mindset of like, you know, there is enough for everybody. There's enough business out there. And like, you can construct your business because this online space is only growing, and people are seeing people who do coaching or, you know, whatever it is in an online capacity is being much more, you know, valid than maybe we would have 5 or 10 years ago. But also, I mean, the way that you approach, you know, your clients and the way that you approach your business is going to resonate with somebody, and it's totally not going to resonate with somebody else who can work with somebody else who does. You know, it's fine. Like we're all different people, and so that means like that doesn't mean every single potential client is going to want to work with us. But what it does mean is that we can work with those people who we're an amazing fit for, and that's actually kind of amazing and awesome.
Yeah, and it's necessary for your business to keep going, because if you are working with people that work for you, that would show up in your success or your lack of success. You might be happy for a bit because you have clients, but isn't part of the why of most people work with those that are the right fit. Even if you're not conscious of it, you know, you don't start a relationship like, man, this is totally not for me, but I'm going to go out with this person anyways and get married to them, even though I know it's not the right thing to do.
Right. Not advisable.
Some people do it. I don't recommend it because you're going to be unhappy, and life is about being happy.
Right. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. So can we talk a little bit about karma? Because this is something that you bring into your business in a beautiful way. Do you want to talk a little bit about like karma calls and your karma classes and what inspired you to do this?
Birth of my second child, once again, comes into play. You know, I think for me, I grew up in a small town, and I grew up with amazing parents that already showed me the value of karma without ever calling it that. And, you know, strictly speaking, we think of karma as a society as very much not what it actually is in a very truthful, ancient philosophy way. But I grew up knowing the value of helping your neighbors just for the sake of it, and not because you expect them to help you out later down the road, but just, you know, your neighbor has a flat tire and you're going to help them fix that. It's as simple as that. And so that was part of my growing up. So it was part of who I am. But then the other part of me just also really genuinely loves offering something that I have for other people in the capacity of, you don't have to pay me money, but you can come here and show up for yourself, set with yoga, because people want that. People don't come to yoga because they want to get fit or they want better flexibility. I mean, they say that, but ultimately they're searching for something deeper. And to me, that's part of my why about moving my yoga business online and reaching more people, is that I want people to live awake at the wheel. I want them to live a conscious life and seek out higher and higher and higher for themselves. And so if I can offer that even in the smallest capacity of, hey, let's get together and have a night of yoga, bring your babies because it's yoga. I'll bring my baby. And hey, let's just do this. Bring some food bank stuff. We can bring it to the food bank or don't. That's fine. But we're here. This is a free space. And I know that was really important for a lot of the moms with new babies to have something to do for a day because it's hard being a new mom. So for me, that was a no-brainer. Like, let's do some yoga. So that's the long and short of it. But in terms of karma, karma is really just simply the action that you take or don't take around yourself. So if you agree to do something, let me restate it. If you feel that, your relationship is strained with a partner and it's that partner's fault and that's just the bad karma and you've got their karma mixed in, their actions and reactions, or their consequences mixed in with yours. It's not about the other person. Karma is about what you do with yourself or don't do with yourself. It's all about the choices that you make, and those are going to have consequences down the road for you. So if you agree to do something that doesn't feel right for you, it's your karma. You did it. You said yes to that, made that decision to say yes to the thing that deep down you're like, no, I shouldn't, no. So karma is the thing that happens after the do. Is really the easiest way to put it. It's an action for every action is a reaction. And, some say that maybe it's, if you murder somebody in this lifetime, next lifetime you come back and you live out that karma. That's on the other side. But I think for the purposes of this, karma is really what you do or don't do with yourself. It's how you treat yourself. It's how are you okay with yourself? And if you can't sit alone for 5 minutes without, sabotaging yourself or shaming yourself or the stories are some self-negative, that's going to show up in your life in things that you do or don't do. Does that land make sense? Meta, way out there, all of the above?
I think it's definitely a definition that's like I've been introduced to through you. That like it's not something I really thought about. And it's certainly not something I thought about in terms of me taking responsibility, right? For like my own actions and the outcomes of that. And like the outcome doesn't have to be, right, like some kind of big off in the future thing. Like it can even just be like how you feel as a result of it. And so I love that you bring this concept into your business and that you find ways of sharing and giving back in a way that like feels awesome to you because it's like what you want to do. It's what your neighbor needs, like you were saying. It's beautiful. And I love this. And like one of the reasons that I wanted to talk to you today is, because we're in the midst of this Change the Stars campaign. And I felt like your method of changing the stars is one of the most creative and inspiring of the ones that we encountered. I mean, we talked to people who were giving away lots of money. We talked to people who were, volunteering their time with local organizations or whatever. And that's all amazing and valid. But I love what you're doing because it shows like you love what you do so much that like you want to just like give back and give freely. And that's beautiful. And also it shows that you recognize the value. And so you recognize that it's like a gift, it's not just like, oh, I'm just doing this to like get more clients or I'm just doing this to like, what, like there's a very specific intention behind it.
Sorry, I'm just running upstairs because my kids are coming home and I'm running away from them.
No worries. We're getting a tour.
Now you're in my messy bedroom. All good. Yeah, that's the thing. When I was sharing it and telling people about it, I really have to consciously say, no, my original intention, and to stick with that, my original intention is I don't want to sell. Well, listen, I have a program and I know it would be a great fit. And would you be okay to hear that out? Because I do believe that just alone in saying, here's a space I want to hold for you for half an hour or 40 minutes, I trust that that space is held well enough that it's going to somebody in a very energetically important place, that they're going to, if I reach out to them a month from now, they're going to remember, and then maybe we can start the conversation there. But it's not about selling, and I think that's the really tricky part. I think, to be honest with you, I see this a lot in the online space where people are getting very, how can I reach people? How can I be authentically reaching people? You know, free session. And let's be real, this is, yeah, it's a free session, but you want to sell your product, your program. And ultimately, yeah, I do want to make money, but I also want to stay true to the intention, which was, here's a free call. So it takes a lot of work to act, you know, and to not make it something where it isn't, where you said this was a karma call, it's a free call, why are you trying to sell me a program? It's like, no, I'm not. So I have to, like, no selling. And trust that they know me, that's fine, that's enough.
Yeah, and I think people pick up on that too. You know, they and you as an individual can sense that intention too. Like if you go into something that's free and it starts to feel like something is off, it's a, you know, good indicator. Like, okay, well, what is my mindset going into this? What am I expecting to get out of it, or not get out of it, or give out of it? And just kind of like looking at that and reevaluating.
Yeah, people can sense that. And it's a big turn off. So I'm trying to think, you know, discovery call, free coaching session, you know, what is it that makes the most sense if I am ultimately going to share my program with them at the end? It's certainly not karma call.
Right. Yeah. So I love that. And I love that that's a way that you've been intentional about your messaging. I mean, we call this show Monetize Your Message, but I mean, it's really about being intentional, whatever it is. And so the fact that like you have a definition in your mind of like, there's a total distinction between a karma call and a discovery call, and like what's the like the mindset that you approach that call with is completely different, I'm imagining, right? And like obviously like you show up 100% no matter what, and like you're being respectful and like you're very pleasant, wonderful self the whole time no matter what, but the outcome's totally different. You know that from the beginning, and they know that. And so it's like being really clear with them and yourself is key.
Yeah, it is. And you know, the last one that I did was, oh man, it was fabulous. Like I learned something for myself. And I think that's important for the 6 and under, as in the 6 months and under. Jesse, I was saying I want to start a show called 6 and Under, and it's new entrepreneurs 6 months and under, because man, are you ever fresh then? And I'm just passing the 6. You know, I have been teaching yoga and teaching for years, but honestly, you know, anything under 6 months, like, you know, it's a few moon cycles you've gone through, and that's, you know, we haven't even done a full circle run here. How much do you know, right? So it's very interesting.
That's amazing.
But, you know, yeah, anytime you get an opportunity or you create opportunities to just hone your skill, you're only going to come out of it more knowledgeable, more confident, and you start tweaking. Oh, what is it that I am doing? You know, if you are in the health and wellness, you know, messaging that out to call in the right people is a process.
Absolutely. And I think there's also like a level of trust involved. Like if you give out your time and your energy and create this space for people and don't ask for anything in return, that is, first of all, deeply appreciated by the people who are there. And those people are more likely to come back. They're more likely to pay a client, and to give you that monetary transaction, then that's you know, a way that feels good and doesn't feel like I got them into my free thing just so that I could sell them.
Yeah, and that, I mean, people are just really turned off by that. They just are, and I just think, but you know, it works for some people, and if that's how you want to make your income, that's fine too. There's no judgment. There's no right way or wrong way. There's just a way that feels good for you. You have to honor that, right?
Totally.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's super key. So, yeah, if we have folks who are listening, by the way, I just want to say, like, part of the reason we do this live is so that you guys can ask questions. If there's anything that you guys want to share or find out more about, feel free to comment. Even if you're watching on the replay, we'll convey those questions over to Leanna. But yeah, is there anything else that you wanted to talk around a little bit about your messaging or ways that our audience could get in touch with you if they want to learn more about how to work with you, or they want to pick your brain about your whole system?
Yeah. Right off the bat, what I'm really feeling called to say is, honestly, if you are watching this and you are just fresh into things, or you're having a full turnaround of your business, and doing something completely different, yeah, send me a message, because I just think it's important to know in whatever you're going through. And I think I have a lot of tools and tricks up my sleeve to deal with the ups and downs. Doesn't mean I'm perfect. You know, there's been a lot of tears in the last couple of months, I'm not gonna lie. Tears, right? And so I think, you know, I would open up that space for those that are like, this is really hard, even just to talk and just to connect, because you need to be able to reach out, and somebody's going to hold your hand and reach back out to you. So, but then in terms of, you know, getting to know me and what it is that I actually do with clients, you can go to www.leannajaneyoga.com. So it's just my leannajaneyoga.com, and then within that there's tons of options, and that's where the Karma Call sign up is as well. I have a few more spots this week. I think I have a few more on Friday, and then that's kind of it. If I get requests after that, I'm willing to open up for a couple more, but yeah, Leanna Jane Yoga, there's tons of stuff on there, and I'm in lots of different groups. I'm also yours in the Fearlessly Successful Entrepreneur.
Yes.
So I also hold the space there as well for others. Yeah, but I would honestly say, in terms of your messaging, like, people want to engage in conversation. They talk to, they want to be talked with.
Yeah, that's a huge distinction. No, I think I love that distinction, because you're right. There's a lot of just sort of like one size fits all, like, okay, here's what I know, now buy kind of strategy that goes on. And like, it's not necessarily bad to be like, hey, here's my expertise, and, you know, here's a space in a program if you want to learn more. But I really like your approach, and I think that if that's an approach that feels right to other people too, about like cultivating those relationships and like holding space for people, like this, that strategy doesn't necessarily work.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And yeah, people want to be related to as humans, right? And so, you know, I see a lot of people going out and you can tell that they've got things all pre-scheduled, and that has a time and place too. But, you know, once in a while, especially if you're doing what I'm doing, which is I'm holding space for people, I'm really listening to what people are saying. I'm reading their energies. All of these things are happening. So if I'm not showing up like that online, and I'm not responding to what's currently happening, then I'm not really walking my walk, talking my talk. So it's really important for me to just actually stop and listen. Like, what are people sharing? What are their struggles? What are their pain points? And speak directly to that in a way that is not condescending, right? Here's what you should do. Nobody wants to put it on. Yeah. Yeah. So my time is coming to an end here, because my children are starting to come into the room, and I'm like hiding them away from I
love it. You're like, just further away. Thank you so much for taking the time, and I love everything that you've shared with us today. I think it's just so beautiful how you found a way to be true to yourself in your business, and you know, really hold those values that are true to you, just absolutely to the forefront. I think you're just absolutely one of the paragons of that, honestly.
Thank you so much. That's amazing. I really appreciate that. The old me would be like, oh, you. Yeah. And the new me is,
take it.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. Like, that's what I'm working on, and I take that into my heart center and help that expand even more. So
Beautiful.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us and for making the space for us today. We really appreciate it.
Yes. So from the light in me that is the light in you, I say namaste. I recognize that.
Namaste.
Thank you. Bye.